I took it out, did a little test run when Nate and I were filming a commercial for Acceler up at Cam's. I drove it for like 30 minutes, and then the next weekend I went to CODA, was hot lapping it all day, having a blast, and then threw a ride through the block. And I've driven some janky cars, man. My E36 didn't have motor mounts in it for like 2 months, and I was just like mobbing it around. We were street drifting at warehouses during COVID, and like it worked.
Have you seen the 4-cylinder LS like concept engine?
I've seen photos
coming out with
and like little articles. Yeah.
Welcome back to the #1 drift podcast on YouTube, presented by Enjuku Racing. My name is Dawson, and today we have
Max Fuerst.
Hell yeah. If you don't know him, you probably have seen his car and all that stuff, or seen his video work. But we'll get into all that in a second. Of course, before we do, look below the video and make sure that subscribe button is not still red. If it is, go ahead and click it and hit that bell notification while you're at it so you never miss an episode. And of course, grab the merch while you're at it. New merch should have come out by now, so check that one out. Go grab one. If you can't, I appreciate you watching. Of course, don't forget about the BUMZ glasses giveaway until the end of March. Literally all you got to do is comment, like the video, and you'll be entered into each giveaway each week. And as always, most of the parts and stuff we'll probably mention, always found on Enjuku. So click the link below. Check that out. Now, that's all I got for the intro. So if you want to kind of give a introduction on your own self, who you are, where you came from, what you drive.
For sure. Yeah, we'll dive into it. But welcome to Texas, first of all. And
appreciate it.
Thanks for making a stop here on your big tour of catching all the homies on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Down here.
Texas homies.
Yeah, I'm Max Fuerst. Currently, my role is Executive Vice President of the Wolfpack agency. That's my day job, what I do now. Some people may have seen, like you mentioned, my camera car, formerly Speed Patrol, which has been acquired by my new company, which is why I'm in this new role. Still have, the cool camera car, the Audi, at least, that we run around. Some people may be more familiar with the Evo. But yeah, now I'm in marketing, but I started as a freelance videographer, shooting drifting, and prior to that was drifting. So I've kind of made this progression over 10 years of driving, not being able to afford to drive anymore, and then filming drifting so I could kind of stick around and be around race cars, and that evolved into what it is today.
The craziness that you're dealing with now.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you're kind of in the position that I want to be in eventually. So this will be a good podcast for me.
You're killing it, and I love. I feel like there's this kind of like little mini cult in drifting of like drifters that do media too, like guys that drive and shoot. People like Hurt that were media guys at Hoonigan, but they also drove, and I feel like we have a little different maybe perspective, maybe it's appreciation for the I don't know, I don't want to say sponsorship side, but the media side and the driving side. So
the publicity side of it, just showing it off, because I mean that's what's going to grow the sport anyway. So hell yeah. All right, well let's start by just give a rundown on your current car that you drive, the coupe basically.
Okay, so my current drift car I have, it's a S13 coupe, kooky front end. I bought it from a buddy of mine that basically, you know how it goes with 240s. Like he bought it from some guy that did something to it. So so I bought it. It's LS2 swapped, cage, Lexan windows, cut knuckles, BC Racing shocks. It's on Acceler tires, and it's funny to say this now because this is like what I dreamed of owning. As a kid in like 2007 looking at drift cars, but it really is just kind of like a simple LS car that just runs, looks good. I've got the KBD body kit on there, so it's right. I run it into everything all year. It's still good. Next season.
We'll get into that.
Yep. And it's a blast to drive, and it really is kind of this simple blend of this is probably going to make people mad, but like just a typical LS drift car, but like Japanese style as far as like suspension and angle kit goes. Like I like cut knuckles. I like driving on cut knuckles. I like how it transfers the weight of the car. I like that I can run into something and grab a welder.
Easily replace it.
Yeah. And I think angle kits are like the coolest thing ever. It's crazy now, coming from 10 years ago when nobody had WiseFab. Now everybody does, and they can do all this crazy stuff with
Now we
it.
got FDF coming out with something new every week, it seems like.
Yeah, shout out Josiah. He's always pushing the mold as far as, what suspension can do on a vehicle.
Oh, yeah. And dude, has Nate told you about the suspension stuff in the rear of his car?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh my God. It's like a whole new idea of the way it squats. It goes like forward almost.
It's like the hangover, like math meme, it's just, I look at it and it's just like numbers and I'm like, oh my God, I could never set this up, but you have someone like him or someone like Adrian.
Yeah. To walk you through it.
Yep. But that's what I tell people is I'm just a cameraman. So I'm like, I've got some PBM knuckles in the rear of my car, cut knuckles in front, extended lowers, tie rods, and it gets the job done.
Simple party car. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
I try to keep that theme.
Yeah. When did you originally get that car? What year was it?
It's funny is today on Facebook got a memory is the anniversary of when I blew the motor up in that car at the first drift event I went to, which was a demo at CODA, the F1 track. And so I think I had bought it 4 months prior. And so, I got it, changed some things, put some BC shocks on it, changed the wheels up, and got it tuned because when I got it, it was on E85 and it made like 510. Or actually, no, I didn't get it tuned. I ran it on E when I blew it up. But yeah, it made 510 horsepower. Dyno confirmed. Nobody believes me when I tell them a 6-liter made that, but
Jesus.
It may be why it blew up.
Pushed it way past its limits.
Yeah. So I think about 2.5 years ago, but I took it out, did a little test run when Nate and I were filming a commercial for Acceler up at Cams. I drove it for like 30 minutes. And then the next weekend I went to CODA, was hot lapping it all day, having a blast, and then threw a rod through the block.
And you said that was the first event?
Yeah, it was the first event I took it to ever.
How many laps did you even get in that day?
A good amount, probably like 30 or 40.
Oh, so you still got to have some fun before.
Yeah. But I'm just definitely like this, I had a 350Z before and we were kind of chatting a little bit about how, VQs just take abuse. So I was a Z kid that would just go hot lap my Z, and after the 10th lap, look at my coolant gauge or, look at my oil pressure. So I
spiked.
yeah, exactly. So I'm not used to paying attention to water temps and oil temps and stuff. So I definitely took it out there, and little bit of negligence on my end.
Oh yeah. Just go to Enjuku, get all the sensors you need.
100%.
You don't ever have to look at it. Just tell the ECU to do it all.
Yeah. That's what we've got the Holly set up on it now, and I've got the dash, and I programmed it to where if anything's off, it blinks red at me, pulls timing,
catches all my attention.
Yep. So we got it set up proper now to have some fail safe, so I don't do that again.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive deeper into that a little bit later in the episode. But tell me a little bit about life kind of before cars ever even became an aspect in your life.
Man, I was always interested in cars as a kid, but for me it was skateboarding growing up. It's all I cared about. It's all I cared to do, and kind of was a theme up through high school. Even we were always going to spots and trying to film tricks on crappy like handy cams. Or whatever. I remember
fish eyes. And
we were using like doorbells from like Home Depot as fish eyes. Or
hilarious.
A buddy of mine did on his setup. And so whatever we could to film tricks, and we all thought we were putting sponsor me tapes together when we were little.
Right.
We were going to get sponsored and all that. We just ran around.
Big skater dream back then.
Man. I mean,
dude,
you go buy the DVDs and you watch them, and then you go film tricks. It was a cool way to grow up. We were outside all day and running around with no cell phones.
God. Back when things were better,
old.
Dude.
Oh
my God. I'm not. I still got a taste of that lifestyle back then. Whenever I was younger, because I didn't get a phone until I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or something. Like I don't remember the exact age, but
I think I was 9th grade, and it was.
Dude, I wish I was like that. Fuck.
My mom got tired of not knowing where I was, so I got the Nokia brick, the classic.
Yep, I had that. Oh man, the good old days.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, so you were kind of always like this kind of creative type as a kid. You were always.
I guess so. I don't know if creative was the right word. Like I filmed because of the skating, you know, but I wasn't
Yeah.
super into the filming. It was just like we all knew
Gotcha.
how to get the angles that we saw on the skate videos, and we didn't, I don't know, think of it as making like a cool video. It was always about what was happening in front of the camera and filming it good,
Okay.
right? So I guess it's kind of the typical drifter path, though. Like so many skaters, BMXers get into drifting, and
Yeah.
I fall in
What's
that
what's your
category.
opinion on that? Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think? Because to me, and like Nate explained it really well, it's kind of like just fulfilling the trick.
Yeah.
So like you in skating, you were always trying to learn a new trick, and once you did it, you know, it was accomplishment, and you felt amazing, and then it was on to the next one.
Yeah.
And I think drifting is kind of that same way, which is why I think they gravitate towards it.
For sure. I think like the progression elements there, and especially like early on. And again, like we were out, you know, drifting in lots pre-Instagram,
Yeah.
pre-Facebook. So it was just about like who could chuck their car in second gear towards a cone, shift down the first, and then link a donut around it. So like that was the trick. But also I think it's just kind of the natural progression of like, if you were skating, that was your method of transportation before you were 16. If you were riding your bike, that was the method of transportation. And like we all had friends that once they got cars, it was kind of like you'd see them fall off or not want to go skate as much or not ride their bike as much, when some of us were using our cars to go do it more. And then somebody gets a cool car, and you know, I feel like
The ripple effect happens.
yeah, well, it's like human DNA. Everybody wants to do a donut in their car, and we just took it a little further, right?
Even down to the people that have no clue about cars. As soon as snow comes around, everyone's in a parking lot
Yep.
trying to do donuts. It's
100%.
just a natural human trait at this point. We've all adapted to. Okay, so when did from that era kind of start wanting to pick up the camera? When did that taste for it actually come into play?
It basically like so I got my, you know, I got into drifting. I got my 240. I think I was 17. Got into drifting because I you know, found a 240 car meet, and that's where I met Nate and a bunch of guys here in Dallas, and we'd go street drifting. So got into drifting, right? Started, you know, going to a couple events. And I only preface this because I got into drifting, and then I went to college, and then it was like, I can't afford to buy, you know,
Gotcha.
8 tires for my only motor transportation, which at the time, you know, was a crappy 240 that I would break, and then I couldn't go up to school or I couldn't get around. So I sold the car, got out of drifting, or got out of driving, I should say, and just ended up picking up a camera and like going to events to try and I guess be useful, if that's a good word.
Right.
Like I didn't like not driving. I didn't like just standing there and drinking a bunch of beer. I liked being hands-on with the cars or learning or just feeling like I was doing something.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the time too, I had switched majors in college to a film degree. So that kind of happened hand in hand, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to get into real estate, but it was in 2008. The crash happened, you know, and I was
Market
like,
was
this doesn't look like a good idea.
Timing just didn't work out there.
I guess, but you know, hindsight's 2020. If I would have gotten to real estate back then, you know, now
Who knows
everything's
where you
worth
would've
money
been.
again, right? I'd have more 240s.
That's very true.
But
Rolling
yeah,
in.
I just kind of those two things happened, and then I started filming drifting, and then taking classes in school just so I could like finish a degree, if you will.
Gotcha. Okay. So, did you end up going into college and you ended up selling that car?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. I sold that 240, a S13 hatch that's the same color as the car I have now, which is
That's ironic.
Yeah, it's a little homage to my first S13 is why I painted that car the color it is, and it was on MB Battles, so now I've got the new Motegi Battles on this car. But I sold that car $6,500, SR, AC, full interior, kitted, fully running. It'd be like a $15,000 car now.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So
Oh my God. Well, okay. So how did you kind of figure out how to scrape by through that college era to, I guess, bring you back to drifting?
I mean, when I sold the car, I bought a $3,000 Honda Civic, and just mobbed that thing around, dude. It was a 5-speed, and yeah, that was the daily, you know. And I was waiting tables at the time, 45 minutes away from where I was going to school, but
Oh
like the
shit.
money was really good, so I'd rip down there, wait tables on the weekends, and then also like, you know, go to class, rip down there, wait tables at night. And that turned into me buying my first camera. Like I'd saved up enough money and bought a camera, after kind of like using other people's stuff. And basically that's when I started to kind of get serious about it.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and during college, this was, or I guess going into college, that was more or less just a hobby for you, doing the camera stuff. It wasn't really your mindset yet.
Yeah. Cause I skateboarded and I got into wakeboarding and wake skating.
Oh,
If
shit.
you know what that
Yeah.
is, like more so wake skating, cause it was just like skateboarding. So it was kind of the same deal. I worked at a bunch of wakeboard parks that have like the cable pulley system. So
Okay.
before I was waiting tables, I'd work there, I'd ride, same thing. We'd film clips.
nuts.
And then the homies start getting nicer and nicer cameras. So I start using DSLRs that people had. And then eventually I quit working there because it was like minimum wage, but I got to ride for free. And then I started waiting tables, and then I saved up some real money to go buy my own DSLR.
Gotcha. So what was the first camera then?
The handy dandy T2i.
T2i. I started with a
OG,
T3i.
man. There you go.
So I feel that, man.
Not that much different, just a little bit older.
Yeah, literally. I think the sensor was different, and that was about it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They had a couple buttons, I think.
Moved them around.
I think it was like $500 for that and a kit lens. And dude, I had that thing. I like gave it to somebody for free later because they needed a second camera to their, I don't know, they had like a T6i or T7i, you know, and they were getting started. I was like, use this as your B cam. But
That's
that thing
awesome.
got hit with water. It got strapped to drift cars. It got tire spray on it. Like,
Good God.
that camera saw a lot of shit.
They can hold up to some
yeah,
abuse. I
man.
ain't gonna lie.
It was a tank.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I guess whenever you switched your major to more camera related stuff, is that when you were like, I really want to take this serious and this is kind of going to be my future?
Kind of like I wasn't locked in on like some business minded stuff on it. I was just like going to drift events. And like I know we talk about it, but like Nate Hamilton is somebody I met when I was going to those.
He was
car
the
meets.
first person to like bring you out to an event to shoot, right?
It was him, and then actually the first car that I ever shot was Fielding Shredders. So he's also a really good friend of mine. I went over. He had a T2i he would let me borrow. So his car, getting a tube front on it, is the first thing I ever filmed, and I still have the video on Vimeo. I'll send you. Then we went to an event. I filmed an event for him, and then I started filming stuff with Nate too. And basically those two guys are kind of who I would work with a lot. So Fielding was on a local level, and then Nate was kind of doing his thing, going to XDCs and stuff like that. And like for a while I wasn't filming stuff for him. It was just going and hanging out, and because he had Corey Denemy making all those old episodes of him that like, to me, like that set the standard in the industry to like the recap video. So
Especially at that time.
Yeah, I was like, Corey's the man. Like there's no way I can make anything that cool.
Yeah.
So Nate kind of had his crew, and Corey was killing it. And I got to learn a lot from Corey. He was, is and was a good friend back then. So yeah, I kind of floated around and eventually started filming some more stuff with Nate.
Okay. So Corey is like the one that kind of inspired the more cinematic style that you take an approach to.
Yeah, like Corey's definitely one of them. My buddy Danny Puckett, he started doing the Say How to Get Rowdy episodes with Chelsea back in the day, and Cody Slack as well, which he does everything and all things marketing at BC. Badass cinematographer. So yeah, those guys filming those episodes were kind of like my North Star early on. And then as I got into like FD and stuff, like Ryan Davis at Yair was like what everybody was
Oh,
Everybody was trying to copy those boys and what they were doing. And I was out there with my T2i trying to do the same when they're running around with the reds and stuff. But yeah, those are probably the core group of guys that I kind of watched a lot of their stuff, learned from, and then tried to like put my own style into. So
who was like your first real client then getting into the business?
Yeah, so I was in college filming all this racing stuff, and a buddy of mine, Todd, and his business partner Kevin called me, and they have an app for managing performance shops, and Kevin owns a shop building Evos. So he's got this cool Evo shop. They had an app that they were trying to launch. He called me and he was like, "We need this video for this app. We'll give you $500." And I was like, I thought I was rich, you know? It was like,
it's hard to do any job for $500.
I know. It's hindsight's crazy, man. Like that amount of money at that time was so much money to me when I was in school. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, I did it.
Yep. Yeah,
I finally made it.
So
my God.
We made a video, man. I had like some big, stupid, like crane jib thing from some weird studio I brought in, and we did all these cool jib shots and shot all these interviews in the shop. And I got my first like taste of After Effects trying to like build the app out in the video and show it off.
Oh yeah.
I like stayed up for days trying to make that video cool for them because they gave me that money and it was so much money to me. It just felt like I had to like
go all in.
Yeah. Deliver something that was so over the top, you know, which I look back now, I'm like,
this is my masterpiece.
This is garbage, you know, but it did its job at the time, and it was a good video for the time. This is probably like 2011, you know.
Oh, wow.
A long time ago.
Okay. So, and you said you were still in college at the time?
Yep.
So I guess, when did you really start seeing some progress within the company? Was it still in college, or was it more outside of college when you started seeing the growth?
It was outside. Like basically my college career, I cut short with 13 hours left because I would say but I was getting like some clients and making some money, and then Nate called me and wanted me to come out and do these like sponsor recaps for him at FD at all the rounds. And so like Long Beach was during my last final for a class that I had. Oh. So I got the teacher to let me take the final early. I left school. I could have finished it in a semester, but I just went and did all 7. Yeah, it was 7 because at the time it was Pro 1 only. So yeah, it was all 7 rounds of FD with Nate.
Fuck.
And that's kind of like what started my transition out of school into FD, more coming home. Yeah. Trying to find more little clients.
Damn.
You know, I was still living at my house on the college campus because I still had a lease, but it was cheap rent.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what kicked off the major filming of drifting, if you will.
So, okay, then I guess, because that's a big leap. Yeah. Going from just college kid to now I'm filming a pro driver's full season.
Kind of. So, my deliverables from him were kind of more of because I think Corey was with us that year still too. I was like taking photos for these recap decks he would make back then. And then I was like also wrenching, but like I had no idea how to work on a car. Like I think he taught me how to do tires, and I could like disconnect a sway bar, or it was kind of like a helping
the basic
hand.
Stuff.
Yeah. And then like get photos of all the runs because someone was filming everything too. Mm-hmm. But I was just there to get photos. But even then I was still like, I'm there, you know?
How does that feel? Because like that has to be.
It was like
was it more of a shell shock then? Like you didn't even really realize what was going on?
It was nuts going to an FD event and then like going to Long Beach and standing there with a T2i with a media vest, you know, scared, you meet Andy and you figure out real quickly that he'll take your media vest if you do anything stupid. So it was really intimidating as like a young kid to go out there and be like, I can stand like right up against this fence and shoot photos of these cars coming at me 100 miles per hour. And I had watched, FD for years prior, like watching Forsberg and Vaughn and Turk and Tony Angelo, on live stream. And Nate was a buddy of mine, so I kind of watched him through XCC and stuff work his way up. So I kind of got to mingle with those dudes. But then it was like, once I was at the big show, it was crazy.
It's just an unreal experience. Was there anything from being at those FD events that brought you not necessarily more business, but more value to your company?
Yeah, for sure. I think, early on, especially being there, Instagram's fresh,
Oh yeah.
So that, I think that had a big role into all of this. So all of a sudden I'm on Instagram when it's new and kind of popping and posting that I'm all over the country with my camera, shooting race cars. It added kind of a perceived value to me and what I'm doing. So,
dude, Instagram was so much easier back then too.
Yeah,
All it was having the right hashtags and posting at the right time, and then just pick whatever fucking picture you want.
Yeah, and then any normal person was just taking pictures of their fucking food, and then we were posting race cars and all this shit. I mean, I remember seeing Ryan Davis film a video of Nate at FD Texas and taking what he filmed on his Red camera and getting it on his phone to post on Instagram before anybody knew how to take a video and send it to your phone to post on Instagram. You had to do it through Dropbox, but everybody else was just doing it on their phone. I feel old as fuck talking about this, but it just blows my mind to think about.
Now almost every camera is integrated with that. Yeah, you just Wi-Fi connect to it.
AirDrop.
Yeah.
So, it was like back then, being during those early stages, like I think there's something to be said, just like old skateboarders, the Costins, the Bears, not comparing myself to them, but maybe the drivers.
Right.
So it's having a foot in early definitely helped. And then us getting to kind of show that on social media first, definitely created like this big perception of, this kid's doing things, I guess.
Hell yeah.
So more automotive clients would hit me up for stuff when I'd get home.
Oh, well, what was the most, I guess, important job that came out of that for you or a client or whatever?
I'm trying to think,
and why?
Man. I mean, I think all those years at Formula Drift were what was the most important. It definitely wasn't the financial backing to my life,
Yeah.
But like, I grew with Nate, and then, he would be on a certain company, and he'd be able to allocate a little budget to me to make, videos for him, but also videos for them. Yeah. So that kind of growth of like, okay, now, Max is cutting videos for Enjuku, I'm making Enjuku videos. I'm making videos that Hoonigan's reposting, I'm getting
all with just the T2i.
Yeah. Eventually I got budget one year to film the whole season, and I bought my next camera, which was an A7S III, the first one. Yeah. And when I got that budget, I immediately spent it on that camera. And all of it too. So the rest of that year, I was just like riding and driving the rig with Nate and like, eating whatever and just, sleeping on hotel room floors because I had spent all the budget on the camera.
But you were still single at this time. So like you had the ability to do that.
Yeah. I think that actually during that time, that season is when my fiance now and I started talking. So,
that's awesome.
Yep. So we've been together. It'll be 10 years this year. We're getting married in May, but
Congrats.
It's funny you bring that up. Cause I remember being in the truck and texting and talking with her on the way to races and stuff. So we had just started talking. So I was like, still, doing the single guy going to races and stuff.
Yeah.
And, still was like that for years later. Like I'm lucky she's so cool. Cause I now not so much, but I used to travel all the time. Mm-hmm. So she, she'd get the house to herself, which is great. And then I'd go run around and go work, you do it long enough and it doesn't feel like a vacation anymore when it's 120 and you're standing on a hot racetrack for 4 days straight that you've been to 6 times.
Yeah, and then you realize you got to do it next weekend as well. And you only have 2 days to get back home, unpack and repack. And Yeah,
a grind.
you don't realize all the extra stuff that comes with traveling that it makes it not so fun.
Flying with gear, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
the worst.
we could go on and on about that. All right, so well now you have like this abundance of gear. So like you own like all of it now, right?
Technically, it's all Wolfpacks now, right?
Well, yeah, yeah.
But yes, it's all my gear that I built up, that I purchased, and when they acquired my company, they acquired that as well. But yeah, I built up, bought more cameras, bought a couple red cameras, bought the camera.
Damn, you're
crane.
bougie.
It's the things that my first one, I'm maxing out cash advancing credit cards,
Yeah.
just to buy it, like just doing
That's one
whatever
thing
I
I'm
could.
trying to stay away from because there's so much equipment that's so enticing, man.
Yeah.
That I want so bad. I make the shots and everything look so much better, but I'm like, fucking slow down, dude.
Just need one more lens, one more camera body.
God, how many times I've said that? One more lens.
Yeah, I definitely push the limit with I don't know. I talk about it a lot with young videographers and stuff. It's like I've done so many things that I would not recommend to anybody, like drop out of school with 13 hours left, or cash advance a credit card to buy a camera. But it's those things, again, I wouldn't recommend, but having those things pushing on you to go make it happen, like to me, just kind of felt like an extra boost.
Yeah, a little extra pressure. to keep you
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Like I gotta go, pay this payment every month. How much is it? Okay. My red camera, if I pay $500 every month on it, it'll be paid off and I'll, pay minimal interest on it. Okay. I can go shoot stuff and make an extra $500 a month off of one shoot. Like
Right.
now it makes sense,
Yeah. Which now it's fucking hard with interest rates and shit like that.
Dude, yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and
almost
everything's so
dumb to go
good
get a
now.
loan for something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shit. Where was I?
Sorry, I'm a big rambler.
No, you're good. I'm the same way.
The ADHD editor, media brain.
So, okay. So what are some of the, like, I guess, best experiences all of this has brought you? Because, like, you hit me up a couple months ago saying you were in Franklin to do some Nissan work.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, when the hell?
Yeah.
You start doing at Nissan headquarters in Franklin, not just like a dealership, headquarters. So what to you, what was the best experience all of this has brought to you?
Man, it's funny. Like media wise, probably like the craziest thing to me was when I flew to Dubai to go film. And kind of the long story short of that is one of my best friends, Pepper Yandel. He's a big car photographer. He moved out there and was living out there,
shit.
and I mean, he's a kid from Oklahoma, moved to Dallas, started shooting for performance shops around here, blew up into this big, photographer. He's on Netflix on, I forgot the name of the show. It's like the show where they race like supercars against builds. And
oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
So
I haven't watched it myself, but I've seen it.
he ended up winning the show. But anyways, like hilarious. Again, kid from Oklahoma, blew up to being on Netflix and then shooting some of the rarest cars in the world. Him and I, linked up and instantly became friends because our stories kind of resonated a little bit. Wow. And he moved out to Dubai, got a project, flew me out to shoot it. That was just kind of like the most surreal experience of traveling somewhere like that to work, which was nuts. It was just 5 days of like shoot, explore, party, wake up, go shoot again. It was
Rinse
a
and
blast.
repeat.
It was super surreal. And while I was out there, why I bring that up is because when I was out there, that's where I met my current business partner.
Okay.
He was working out there. Long story short, like his wife was in kind of my friend group circle when I was younger. So like I knew her, she got married eventually. I'd, heard about her husband and they were doing all these different, kind of drive events. He's worked in automotive marketing forever. And, she would call me because he would need staff in certain cities, and I'd link them up with people I knew. And this is all prior to me going out there. So I flew out there, shot this project, was like, hey, you know, I'm going to catch up with you guys, meet Nick, go get dinner. So like all these crazy things happened from that trip, kind of back to like the perceived value of doing stuff. Like FD was a big thing for me, and then going to Dubai, it was like a big deal, you know, to kind of showcase and market myself doing that. And then coming out of that, now I'm the VP of a big marketing agency because, you know, I went to dinner with somebody through connections I had.
Yeah. Well, how did you, I guess the stepping stone of all of this, you started off managing all of it. So how, like, what did you find were the most important things to incorporate to get you to the next step, to where you had more time to focus on the other stuff or whatever? It
was kind of like, you know, I was a freelance videographer at first. I was shooting, I was editing, to, you know, a lot of car stuff, and then started doing a little bit more corporate things, started doing a lot in the boating industry because I had the wake skating background. That's where I met my business partners in my first agency that I started with those group of guys. We ran that for a couple years. I wanted to get back in automotive. They wanted to go a different direction. So they basically, you know, we split ways. I think it was like 2020. What year was COVID?
I think 20.
Yeah, so 20. Yeah. So end of 2019, we parted ways. I just bought the crane to make, you know, at the time I was trying to make the world's fastest camera car with the Evo. So like I'd kind of done the agency thing, fulfilled kind of that role, realized that they wanted to do something different than I did, and I wanted to get back in automotive. So, 20 happened. I had a camera car and a camera crane, and then COVID. So,
damn, that's a clusterfuck.
Yeah. But I guess to your question, it was starting an agency, leaving, building the camera crane, kind of getting on bigger productions with that, and learning kind of more of how the big show gets ran on some of these bigger commercials and whatnot. And then going and meeting my business partner, you know, one of my business partners, but our CEO in Dubai, and kind of forming what, you know, we call our SEAL Team 6 of marketers that are, you know, we're all creatives, we're all at the table. And now it's like I've taken all these skills and get to have my hands on all facets of the marketing funnel. So
right. So I guess what would you say your position and what you have to do on a daily basis compared to your business manager or your
my business partner? Sorry. It's why the Wolfpack is cool is we all kind of have the same job, but we all have our specialties, you know?
Okay.
So we're a small team with a lot of strategic partnerships, and what we tell people, and what the biggest thing I've learned being, you know, or having clients of big companies is we're just problem solvers at the end of the day. Now that might mean a video, that might mean a website or an app or a marketing event. So now it's all the creatives at the table. It's not a bunch of executives with a big building that they got to pay for, big mortgage to cover, big overhead of, you know, 15 project managers to hop on calls that they're billing you for. Now it's the people that make the decisions are at the table. They know what they need to do. We get to know our clients. We know the ins and outs of the company and really get brought in. And then it's kind of like we're all just doing the same thing all day. Again, I'm not a graphic designer, but Megan, our other business partner, is. Nick's a whiz with all things marketing and events and training and strategy. So it's really, really cool and kind of breaks the traditional agency model, if you will, which is why I'm so happy to be a part of the team.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Because that's, I don't want to get too deep into my selfish questions, but
dude,
like that's,
I'll talk this all day.
We can talk about that off podcast. I guess what is your opinion on, I guess, it's kind of hard because like I always say for drivers, make sure your car looks good and stuff like that so that you actually get the media that you want out of events and stuff. So what is your suggestion to drivers from a media standpoint on if they want more media, how they should get it, if, you know, just what's your advice to them?
Yeah. I think it's funny because this day and age, it's like everybody knows like, oh, proposal's good. Oh, getting media coverage is good. But I always try to like ask like, what's your angle? You know, what's your angle that makes you different than other drivers? And then your mindset needs to be, how is what I'm doing, is it going to generate ROI for a company that's giving me money?
Right.
Like, and it's not like that every time. There's so many cool companies and people that'll sponsor you just because they're like, I want to see this guy do good, you know? And I hope you go find the people that have that money to just light on fire racing, right? But at the end of the day,
we actually talked about this a little bit on Nate's pod, and that this is perfect.
On the one you
follows
just
this
did.
up. Yeah, it follows up perfectly.
Yeah, he's got like the coolest, probably like most off the wall perspective that makes so much sense. And like, I've learned a lot through him, obviously traveling with him. I lived with him. So like finding, an angle like he has and approaching sponsors and trying to give them ROI or just do something different for them. For instance, I'm a media guy, so I can film whatever you want versus the driver that has to go hire the media guy and get photos and has kind of more of a barrier there. But, you know, it's no secret that a lot of media guys can trade that media directly with companies and go, look, this is how much it would cost to make this content. Do you want to send me, you know, a wheel, a tire, a bumper, a shock, whatever it is. So that's just like a small example, I guess, of an angle. You know, Josiah maybe would be a cool one. Like, I don't know anything about his program, but just thinking of Josiah has a company, FDF. So he makes parts and he sponsors people, but then what does he do when he needs a motor? You know, how can he pitch that into getting a free motor? I don't know if he gets free motors or not, you know, but just saying like, that's kind of like the approach I try to take with, getting sponsors. And then also not, I think it's easy to like get shiny things, and companies can also give you a little and ask for a lot. And I'm at a point in my life and I have some really cool sponsors and partners, you know, KBD, Enjuku, BC, Tire Streets, that have done a lot for me. So I try to think of my time investment bringing on a new partner to the program. So also thinking about like, this company wants to give you, you know, a set of 4 wheels, but how much is it going to cost you to get the media for those 4 wheels?
Right.
Is it going to cost double what the wheels cost? Then you're better off buying them, you know? So that's kind of my tip, is trying to like get an angle. It's not going to, you're not going to think of it in 2 seconds, you know, but I like to sit and think and have these big aha moments of like, this would be helpful. And then go talk to these companies and just be flat out with them.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a lot simpler than people, I guess, consume that information, because I was very bad about it. I wanted to overthink everything that someone was saying. It's like, what are you good at? Keep it as simple as, what are you good at? That's your value prop. Find a way to use that. And it's that simple. So, and I think
I kind of just noticed like, you didn't say anything about being good at driving. Right?
Yeah, I'm not good at driving. I suck at driving. I'm
just
never
funny.
Gonna say I'm good at driving.
The old model of and you know, motocross, this doesn't apply. But in drifting, it's like you can go, you know, this is an exaggeration, but you can go win championships and still, what's your media presence? Where's the ROI here? Like, that's great. You won an FD championship and have all these eyes on you, but like, there's guys that
really the only value prop you bought any company was a podium finish for them to advertise for a little bit,
and screen time, right?
Yeah, that's about it.
So it's interesting how it's all about media, and like when I got into filming and media back in the day, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I was just like, you know, picking up a camera and filming stuff for money is cooler than
Well, let me ask you
wearing a
this
suit
then,
all day.
because I'm very adamant on telling people to not go the FD route, because unless you're just built for it, then like by all means go do it. But from your perspective, it seems like you might have a better angle of explaining, or just a different opinion in general.
Yeah.
Because not only did you go to FD and see it all while you were doing your job, but you just kind of see the grassroots side of it. You see all the professional side of it, the sponsorship stuff. So what is your opinion for people that are like dead set on going the FD route to make their career in drifting?
I think, you know, it's all about the individual and what your goal is. But to kind of like generalize, like, I think drifting's really, really cool that there still is this kind of perception that like it goes from like grassroots drivers in 240s and KAs, then SRs, then to big cars. And then you can race your way up and go to the big show without being, you know, a rich guy. And that's what I love about drifting. It's not necessarily 100% true. Maybe it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But I think that racing costs money and it's an investment at the end of the day. If you want to be a pro driver and have a sustainable career, you just got to think about where is that money being allocated to and how's that going to generate an ROI for you? Is going to FD going to generate an ROI for you? Year one, probably not. Year two, probably not. Maybe it's a 4-5 year plan, but you just have to like approach it like a business more. And again, like I love driving my car I have now. My plans are so different. Like I just want to go to Grid Life, a couple Grid Lifes a year, go to some of the big events, drive with the cool kids, you know, and that's it. So my goals are different, but I love that people still want to go to FD. I love watching FD. The cars are nuts. It's crazy, but I think that it's a hot topic to like, you know, do you go, do you not? I think it just boils down to the individual, how much money you're willing to burn, and then why are you burning that money to hopefully just have somebody hand you a pot of gold just because you did good at the race, or do you have like an actual plan? Well,
let's say this specific individual is just one of those people that like, I've watched FD for so long. I want to be a part of it. I want it to be my career, and I want to be able to drive with the best drivers possible. And like, that's all they really care about. They don't have any backing behind it. There's no business behind it. So there's nowhere to like, I guess, funnel the money to. Or so like they literally just consider the sponsorship money is their income, and that's what they live off of. And I see that mindset all over the place. So what's your opinion to those specific people trying to do that?
I think you pick the steepest hill to climb. And again, it's all about angles. Like if you were to tell me I need, like, if I was going to go to FD, if I wanted to do that, how would I do it?
Right.
I would tell you build a business and then go to FD. Build a business that funds the racing that takes you to Formula Drift.
Right.
That's, I think, the smart angle. Or, you know, partnering with businesses that wanted, you know, back in the day, Enjuku were building cars and putting drivers in them, you know, so that's a little more few and far between. And there's a lot of business logistics and still money that changes hands from drivers to teams, and sponsors. So I'm kind of generalizing here, but today it's like, I think you have to build something that funds that, or going racing is advertising for your business. I think Michael Essa, you know, had a BMW shop. So it's like, if you have a shop, or Rad Dan has a shop that builds 2Js and Supras, then, you know, build a 2J and a Supra, go take it to the big show. And maybe that's how you make more money with your shop. But maybe he would have made more money building Texas 2K mile cars, drag cars, you know? So, but yeah, to sum it up, I think I'd tell you, Don't try and go on driving merits alone and
FD is
expect
a marketing
people.
stunt,
Yeah,
pretty much.
and you're not going to get there. Somebody could prove me wrong, and I hope so. But just being like, I'm a good driver, and if you don't have any like serious funding or backing or even family money, like
Yeah. You won't even get the sponsors with that.
No.
I mean,
You gotta be able
everyone's
to
a
show
good
up.
driver. So what? Like,
Yep.
what makes you special,
Especially
in that
today.
aspect? So speaking of the sponsorship stuff, like how has you mentioned Enjuku? So how did that relationship start?
That started because I met them because I was going with Nate to Orlando to like film the build of, well, I guess not film the build necessarily. Corey was down there working there, filming the build, but I was part of the race team too, and I was doing more short form content. So I was going to Enjuku while they were building the car. So I just kind of like met everybody there, and a lot of, as you know, a lot of late nights when you're building a car. So we're staying up all night. I'm at the dyno with them, under the lift, filming everything that's happening. Wow. So that's how I got to know those guys, and they're the best over there.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, how have they kind of helped you in your program? I guess you would consider it out throughout the years that you've had a relationship with them.
Yeah, man. They've just honestly given me support with parts, like they'll I had all ISR stuff on my 350Z.
Nice.
They would hook me up with parts that they distribute, and with discounts, just typical things, and we trade media and photos and stuff. I told you earlier, like I bought a whole 350Z from Ant, one of the crew chiefs at the time. So we've always just kind of been homies, and it just turned into them helping out my program. Nothing crazy. But yeah, they've always just supported me with parts.
Oh yeah. Okay. And so I guess as far as all of the other companies, I know KBD and everything. Yep. Actually, let's just jump into that.
Yeah.
The KBD stuff. So
dude, that was a hot button on your channel.
You love your kit.
I love it, dude.
Why do you love your kit?
Because I
can simple as it can be.
Pull my car up on the trailer and just scrape it up the whole way, and nothing happens to it. I would have gone through probably like 8 kits last year, and I'm busy. I hate fiberglass. I hate working on cars.
Well,
the least amount of working on cars I can do, the better. So KBD, like the car looks great. I love the kit. And it allows me to go, tap somebody's door, or somebody hit my bumper. Like we just did a Lone Star event where Chelsea came down, drove Aaron's LS3 E36. He literally like painted my rear bumper with his tire, but like if I had a fiberglass kit, it would have exploded the rear bumper, So not only do I still have a bumper on my car, I can go, hey, that's the FD champ.
Yeah, I got battle scars.
Marked up my car. So I think as far as it being a hot button topic, it's drifting. People have extreme opinions. With everything, I'm like, what's your goal? I'm not a hot boy. I'm not responsible enough, or even I literally think it takes a degree of being smart enough to not blow up a crazy expensive fiberglass kit. But even if it's a knockoff, like it just takes so much more process to load it, unload it. If it's slammed, like you may snag something. And I also think you can't, not that you can't, but like pushing your driving further is tougher, because then you're
constantly worried about it.
Yeah. And then your car looks dumb.
Suffocating your wallet.
Yeah. And then you look dumb because you broke your bumper and you have no front bumper in your car. And all your media and all your photos, you're not going to have any bumpers on your car. So, and again, I'm talking from a perspective, like I like to push my driving, AKA like I hit things, I fly off track sometimes, so for me and somebody that drives like me, I don't advocate like the missile stuff. We're not trying to hit each other or mark each other's doors up, and we do a pretty good job of keeping our cars clean. I didn't have a tire mark on my car until that event this year, and ran great laps with everybody all year. But I think having KBD lets me drive the car harder without worrying about breaking stuff. and then makes my life easier. Jacking the car up, like I don't roll on blocks. I literally shove the jack under my side skirt and it like folds in.
Yep.
I get to the jack point and I jack the car up. It lifts up. I let it down. The skirt folds over the jack. I pull the jack out and I'm ready to go.
Do you brace your bumpers at all? Like, do you have little braces on the corners?
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. I've got a bash bar for the rear, and then I do little braces on the back, and then I have some braces I made for the front. So that's what everybody complains about is
the floppiness. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking stupid.
Dude,
just make some simple brackets.
Go fiberglass your bumper one time, and that's like the amount of time. Half of that, if you put that into mounting your bumper properly, you'd be fine. But I also get like having a crashed up 240 that all the mount points aren't factory. I think that's part of the problem and why people complain, but it's like, sorry, just make something.
The whole front end of my car is twisted up and I did my best to make that bumper of the kit fit right.
Yep.
And it's my headlights that throw it off. My headlight brackets that I made are a little bit off on the driver's side is what it is. So yeah. You
just dial it in, but I'm so pro KBD, and especially because Irving is like the best dude ever, so like,
I can't wait to meet him in person tomorrow.
He's the best, bro. He's super fun. He's into drifting now. Like he's got a Z. He's out driving with us. He's learning from everybody. Yeah. He's cooking. I think
that's going to do a lot for his company. Just seeing people seeing him drive the kit. Yeah. Instead of just talking about it and watching others drive it.
His marketing's like the best to me. It's like rap lyrics that he writes himself to photos of his kits, Wagyu steaks. Like he literally is cooking Wagyu for drivers at the last Lone Star event on a grill. Like it's crazy. Like how could you not support that, So I'm so pro KBD, and like if you like your fiberglass, that's good for you. You got some kit that like nobody has, that's awesome. I can't roll.
The only thing that puts a bad taste in my mouth is it's always a style guy that complains about it. Yeah. And it's always the fact that it's a rep kit of a real kit. Well, every time he gets those damn kits, he's got to do so much fucking work to it to make it fit right anyway. So for one, the kit doesn't it's not that fantastic, and it's overpriced. You're paying for it to come from Japan usually.
Probably chopped up.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like that doesn't make sense. You advocate for run whatever wheels you want. Yeah. Like I'd prefer them to be real, but if they're fake and they still look good, that's fine. But body kits aren't the same way.
Yeah, you can't be gray area.
It's just like it puts a very bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, man. I think if you're going to claim that, it's like you better have real wheels, real kit, real everything.
Fucking everything.
And if you do, I'll be like, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like I can't afford that, or I can't do that.
Has a bad comment about KBD on every video I make, either like drives some bone stock fucking Miata or their kits in pieces and it's all zip tied together. Their car is all in a million different colors. I'm like, dude, you're not advocating for the best argument right now.
It's kind of funny. Like I've noticed that people new to drifting, or I wouldn't say new, but semi-new, are typically the most opinionated, but I think it's because it's like the peak of when you're like obsessing over all those little things like body kits and suspension parts. And like once you're driving for so long, like at least for me and a lot of people that are in the industry, it's like my car works, it looks cool. I didn't build that to impress other drifters. I built it because I liked it. And then I also like going and driving in front of people new to drifting, and they think it's cool. They don't care that my wheels are fake Battles, or like they're the remake of Battles, which are the Work XD7 reps. They don't care. So, but I think people newer to drifting have big opinions, and that's fine. But it definitely
you go through 2 or 3 of those inconveniences that you're like hyping up. And you'll realize, like, I'll go the other route.
Last round, my buddy Connor hit me, and it's a Motegi Battle. It was fine, but if they were some, T37s, I'd have a big gouge in my $1,000 wheel. Tell me you're not going to drive 100%. The next event if you're worried about your wheels getting hit.
Oh,
unless you're unless you're Adam or Ryan Literal or somebody that has the baller wheels and can do that. Some guys do that and it's sick, but if you're, I don't know, if you can't do that, just let people like what they like.
Exactly. Stick to your own car.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Well, so actually speaking on the battles and stuff, you tend to, I guess, stay with that style of wheel, even from the actual battles to these now. Yeah, so I guess the tandems are very similar to it. So
Yeah.
like, let's just hypothetically, if you were to put Kanseis on it, would you be going with the tandems?
No.
Really?
I want the KNPs.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they look sick.
Yeah, they're fine. That's what I almost
They're
went
sick.
with. I just wish they would have had them in chrome.
Chrome would
Kansei, please make those in
Yeah.
chrome, dude.
that'd be pretty pimp. Yeah, they Kansei makes awesome wheels, and like seeing them from the start, like grow to where they're at now, is so dope.
Yeah.
The battles for me, literally the color of my car, the MB battles are paying homage to my old car. It was dark red. It was a hatch, not a coupe. But then I had battles because it was like the only 18 by 9.5 wheel I could afford, because back then they were, $500-$600 for a full set of wheels.
Yeah.
So that's what I had. And then I'd show up with like 16-inch Mustang wheels for drift spares. But now I have those.
Have the good wheels to show up to the track.
Yeah, you gotta style on the trailer, right? Or like I would use them on the street because I would,
Hey, that's one thing about fiberglass kits. You can't style on the trailer.
That's facts.
There you go.
That's big facts. Bumpers off every time you load up, right?
Yep.
So no, I love Kansei wheels, and the KMPs I've been eyeing up. Like those bronze KMPs would look so fire on the car. So
That's what I told them to put on the set for the podcast.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
we threw one of the 15-inch ones that they had just come out with. I was like, dude, that's perfect size for the studio. It can be right there in the camera shot. I was like, please send me one of those.
yeah, it looks sick in the background.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hell yeah. Well, that's very odd that you would choose that one instead of the battles.
So the tandems are cool,
sorry.
but the like I would put them on a million other cars. But again, we're all picky about our own cars. To me, the curve of the spoke I think will look weird with, like, I have had the battles on there, and I like the hard lines on the spoke that just jet in. So the curves I think would kind of bubble out the car a little more, and they'd still look dope. But to me, like, the flat face of that KNP
Sharpness, yeah.
Yeah, the sharpness I think matches the KBD kit on the car. And it'll look good. And Irv's doing a new S13 kit coming up, so it's like a racing line style. So it's S13.
Right.
So I want to do S13 rear or coupe rear and side skirts, and then see if I can like kind of race up the front bumper a little bit to look cool. And again, like, I'm probably gonna get some smoke from people. I'm just used to that by now. And I just, I wave my white flag and say, like, I'm not a style kid. I'm trying to make my car look as cool as possible with what I have and what I like. So
yeah. Well, I do kind of want to jump back a little bit in time to, since we're talking about driving now, the 350Z that you had. So you kind of had obviously the same style approach to that, but what was like the setup? How basic was that car?
It was
pretty
super
simple, right?
basic, and from a style standpoint, 350Z is another hot topic, right? To me, I was like, I'm not gonna break the mold as far as like making a 350Z look different. The most I could do was
don't be me.
Yours looks sick, but I was just like, for me, the most I could do was like I painted it green. I had those gold Odins on it, so it was like kind of like the Need for Speed 2 Underground Z / like lowrider style. And those wheels probably weighed like 45 pounds, and I broke all of them. Like, I literally ended a season with 4, and I had 12. But from a styling standpoint, I was like, cool, KBD bumpers, so I can do Z things and run and bonk my friends' cars, and nothing would happen. And it was an HR with tune from my buddy Ben at VPF.
D is best.
D will get you driving good. I'll give you that. Dude, I bought that car. Nate and I had a shop at the time right behind the shop that he's in now. There's a big warehouse back there. And we had like 8,000 square feet, but it was a dump. You do donuts back there. I bought this car like missing panels, wrecked, for $2,800. It was an HR with 100,000 miles on it. KBD kit, BC shocks, ISR everything, GK Tech angle kit, and that was it. I didn't even put an oil cooler on the damn thing, and I beat the hell out of that car. And it lived a long time. My big claim.
I didn't put a catch can on mine, so I feel you.
I didn't have one either. I actually had a filter that just like stuck on the little vent port off the valve cover. And
Nope, my valve cover just continued to pull up with oil. You could see the stain on the intake from it.
that's what my LS car does now. The catch can gets full and I'll see oil dripping under the car. I'm like, oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Yep, time to pour that out. Yep. But yeah, that car was super simple. I beat the hell out of it. My big, drifting career claims. I got a TXSL podium on that.
Nice.
In that car, beating a couple TXSL champions, which like that series at the time was the most competitive, crazy. I think there were like 64 cars that entered that day, and I battled 10 times to get that trophy. That second place trophy. Shout out Ryan for getting first. But yeah, I drove that car and it was just the perfect thing. I had an E36 I drove for a year before that was just, again, basic, low power. And then I got the Z and I was like, this is the car I'm going to get good in. I want to focus on my driving, get comfortable in it. And I just eventually evolved that to what it was, sold it. Deal popped up on this car and I bought it.
So what were some of the major things that the Z specifically taught you that, let's say, the BMW couldn't?
Just how the BMW was good as far as like learning to drive with momentum, and I would get 265 scrubs and run it on the back.
God.
Losi and Denofa told me I was crazy and that it wouldn't work, but I made it work.
80 PSI all around.
Try 90 or 100. It was gnarly, but I made it work. It was fun, but obviously the itch for more power helped. And then once I got the Z, it was like, okay, now I have enough power and not too much power. How do I learn to drive this car well and make it do what I want to do? And then learn all the like little nuances of positioning your car, loading up wheel speed, slowing down wheel speed, figuring out how to grip the car up in drift. And not that like I'm no suspension guru, like it's just how much toes in the rear and how soft are the shocks. But that GK Tech angle kit, I had like the full arms and stuff. Like I got a lot of angle out of it. But before that, I had the little $200 kit. So it was just good, like, I don't know, car to progress in. And I'm definitely like a driver. Like I would just go and drive whatever you hand me, I'll drive it and I'll blame myself if it's not working right.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't blame it on the shocks. I don't blame it on the grip.
I do that too, but a lot of the reason is because I don't really know exactly what I should adjust based off the feeling, because I just don't have that much seat time.
Dude, it takes so long. And hot topic button, everybody talks setup so much, and it's taken me so long to like, now I can feel, a couple shock clicks in the shock. Yeah. Now I can feel an 1/8 inch of toe change.
Right.
But that's like, I'd been driving for 3 years, 4 years nonstop. I feel like people like go crazy on their setup.
What do you say to the people that are trying to learn, but they keep consuming that type of information? And it's like, well, fuck, that's a lot of shit to like pay attention to. I don't even know how to adjust half of it. And like, what do you say to those people? Because in my opinion, just don't fucking think about it.
Yeah.
Focus on tire pressure.
Yeah.
And your alignment.
Go to your the best dude at the track, whatever, best dude go, what should I set my car up at? Do what they tell you, go to an alignment rack, get it within that spec, and then put your shocks, whatever they tell you, put your shocks there. I have opinions on that too, but it's all from, Nate and Chris and Chelsea.
Yeah. I always just tell, if you have no clue, start in the middle and adjust from there.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically where I'm at too. And then the first thing you play with is tire pressure.
Yeah.
And if you feel like the car is kind of hard to kick out, add some more pressure. If it's really slick and you're spinning out a bunch, take a little bit out. But it's probably your fault. because I've driven some janky cars, man. My E36 didn't have motor mounts in it for like 2 months, and I was just like mobbing it around. We were street drifting at warehouses during COVID, and like it worked. It was fine.
Hell yeah.
You can drive a trash can car and do a lot with it. I think you get more of figuring out how to solve the problem instead of blaming the car for the problem.
Right. Especially if you're used to the car just always working.
Yep.
Okay, so why did you initially decide to get rid of the Z?
Basically this car. So this car I got, one of my business partners, I have a supplement company I'm partnered in called Tenfold. It's pre-workouts. We got a thermogenic and like amino acids that we sell. So we had a shop for like Speed Patrol, my camera car company, and then I split it with Tenfold. And Jordan, my business partner there, he was like, I want to get into drifting. This car popped up. It was a good deal. We were like, you buy that one. It's a V8 car. It should be super simple. It was like set up on kill mode, but we were going to take a bunch of tow out of it, raise the pressures, kind of teach him with, a bunch of power, which I don't recommend, but he had us to kind of guide him through, like just how to slide the car around, He bought it. He's married, has a kid. Like drifting for normal people's a lot to take on, and it's kind of like you got to be all in on it. So he drove it for a while, would street it around, and I think it was just kind of like the commitment of going drifting was just a lot. So he ended up just selling it to me. I was like, I'll buy it. So then I was like, I got to sell the Z.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I ended up kind of with a deal on this car, and then I blew it up the first event. So,
which actually, what did you say the reasoning why that blew up?
There's a couple like theories. I know I was like joking around about like me not looking at gauges and stuff, but I think when I pulled the fuel pump, like the wiring to it was so bad that like the grounds were like nothing was crimped on it, and it was having this like cutout issue, and we rewired it from the top, and it quit happening. But I think like fuel getting hot and bad wiring was causing like a lean out, and I think it had done it a couple times, and then it did it and popped the motor. There's a lot of like janky stuff on my car that I had to fix at like Jordan, my business partner, bought it from my friend Zach, and when they got it, they fixed a ton of shit. So like he bought it from Zach that I knew, and they had done their best to make it good, and then it got into my hands, and we tried our best. It's just how project cars go. It's
of course,
it's nobody's fault except for the original builder. That guy's an idiot. We're just undoing problems.
Can't trust nobody else that builds a car. Only yourself.
That car came out of a shop here in Dallas, apparently, and it's just like shocking what we've had to undo, man.
Every time I hear a car comes out of a shop, it's usually a bad sign.
Yeah. It was a hot rod shop too, and it's like
definitely a bad sign.
Yeah. It was.
Dude, hot rod guys, they jank shit together 10 times worse than we do at the track.
Dude, they just lay down boogers with MIG welders and
5 inches of Bondo and shit. Like, dude, come on, man.
So it's taken a while, but now the car's like really solid.
That's good.
There's definitely some things that annoy me about it though. So maybe a reshell one day, but the car just kind of works really well, and it kind of operates like a Z now that we like got it where it's at. Like I literally just empty the catch can, load it on the trailer.
I finally do it.
And go racing.
So whenever the motor did end up popping, what obviously you were going to throw a new motor in it. So what were some of the upgrades you went ahead and did while swapping that motor out?
So basically what I did, the motor in it was a 6.0 aluminum block truck motor, apparently, which I didn't know was a thing at the time. And like, I had only done like shocks and suspension before this. We pulled the motor out. My buddies Keegan and JR kind of helped me get it together at their shop. But we pulled the motor. It had PRC heads, like some really fancy heads on it. I sent them to my boy Ivan at Higher Power Performance. He like redid all the heads, and then I went and bought a Yukon iron block 6.0 and just literally ripped it out of a truck, slapped the heads, put a Summit cam in it, and just like patch things up. Yeah, it's got a Holly harness, and that like I feel like is a cheat code to. I was like, okay, I'm swapping my
Anything
first car.
LS or Ford powered. I mean, it's
Dude, you just
always
plug
a cheat
everything
code
in.
for sure.
It was nuts, man. We had to undo like the guys that built the car had like a wrong generation crank sensor. So like we thought it was one gen, but they had mixed it up. So we mixed it up because of that. So we chased that down for, a night, but you just plug everything in. And
So what is like with the LS stuff? What is your opinion on the iron block versus the aluminum block?
I mean, for me,
Seems like a hot topic.
yeah, for me, it was just like, I don't care about 80 or 100 pounds or whatever.
Yeah.
Being in the car, and it was cheaper, and I was trying to save money. So I just did the iron block, but I know, and I hear benefits, and I know like Golan does a lot of like iron block race motors, and I've heard things like they don't expand and contract as much. So they don't, I don't want to say overheat, but I guess that makes head gaskets live longer. I don't know. Like I hear the pros and cons to both. Like iron gets heat soaked more maybe, but for me it was just like a money thing. I was like $1,700 for an iron block pull out, or like any aluminum pull out. It's going to be an extra $1,000, and I just bought this car and I just blew the motor in it. Like I don't care about an extra 80 or 100 pounds.
Right. So okay, then what do you say to I guess the people that would say just go ahead and buy the crate motor if you are going to go LS, especially nowadays with how fucking shit this economy is.
Yeah.
Everything's so goddamn expensive.
Yeah.
And Facebook Marketplace, you people are greedy as all hell for no reason.
And tough to deal with.
That for sure. So like now it just seems more like the common sense thing to do is just buy the crate motor.
Yeah, I guess kind of, getting the heads refinished on my car. Like luckily they were like in good shape. It was still like kind of expensive. But I guess what I'd account is like you don't account for all the little shit, like little water pumps. Dude, oh my God. Like I was probably $5,000 into getting that motor back in the car, which isn't too bad.
Yeah. But I hate when people say you can do an LS swap for like $3,500. Fucking no, you can't.
No, maybe if you're a hot rod shop, but then it's going to be shitty, right? So, I think it's by the crate motor, but once you go through the process once, like if you've never swapped an LS in a car,
right?
Don't tell me it's going to be $3,500, until you do it and you can say it's this much, then great. But if like your dad had a truck that he didn't care about and you pulled the motor out of it for free, it doesn't count as $3,500.
Yeah.
I know you see these build videos where they're like, we're going to do this for $2,000, and you're like, oh, you had a motor just sitting in the back of the shop you got for free.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, parted out a whole other 240 just to buy all the parts. Yep. And
no, you need
nonsense.
Would you go see Losi, get him talking on LS3 crate motors? He wants the LS3 crate motor of the world.
Oh, I know.
He is
He's
pro
all about the LS.
crate motor. You know? And I think I would do that if I blew or when I blow this motor. I think that's what I'd end up doing.
Now. Mm-hmm. So, okay, then what about the whole Coyote versus LS argument?
Dude, I don't know anything about Coyotes in like a drifting standpoint other than like Ben Hobson's car, like his Ripper Mustang looks sick. I know they have like a water pump issue or something, but like they're awesome. Like, looks like you can beat the crap out of them. That's great.
I literally think the only thing that's kept people from doing that is how much more expensive it was for parts and stuff. Not necessarily the swap itself, because the swap itself is about the same cost if you really look at it. Going bone stock 5.0 or bone stock LS, like roughly the same, especially if you're doing crate.
Bone stock for bone stock, though. Well, I guess an LS. So you're saying LS3 to 5.0?
Correct.
I would say anything else is garbage. LS.
Yeah.
Like if you just are doing a pull out 5.3 or pull out 6.0, if it's stock, you're making 350Z power, but just lower end torque. So I could see LS3 crate to 5.0 crate motor being a comparison.
Yeah, well, that'd be the only one that really compares to the 5.0 anyway. So definitely.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know.
I've spent a bunch of time around Mustangs, but I don't know shit about Coyote
Yeah, I'm
motors.
around them a lot more now, so that's why it begs the question for me.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm seeing someone go through a Godzilla swap right now, and it's like,
Who's doing
this
that
is
again?
literally Matt from Cock Stunt Parts. Scotty D guys.
Okay, on YouTube, right?
Yeah, well, I do
Okay.
their media.
Oh, okay.
Their social media content.
Then I think I saw clips of it the other day.
Right.
That's why I was asking. I was like, I've seen that before. It was the first time I've seen it. So
Yeah, he's doing a Godzilla and a S197. It's a full
That's
crate
crazy,
motor.
bro.
And like, dude, when he got, I swear to God, he got it. And I actually asked him, because it was just sitting on a stand. I was like, whose LS is this? And he was like, that's not an LS. I was like, you're joking. It looks identical to an, like, water pump. It's
Really?
a GM water pump, straight
Really?
up. Like, he gets the Holly kit, the whole Holly engine accessory drive, and almost every fucking part number on there says GM on it.
no way.
It's
Now,
literally
5.0 's
the
not
best
like that,
version.
right?
No.
Okay.
No, it's the best version of an LS. And like the
That's crazy.
injectors, where the injectors go, are on the intake manifold.
Just like an LS.
Nope. They're on the head now. So it's better placement.
Okay.
You don't have to deal with taking the intake off or dealing with the intake to even get to the injectors. It's
So
just,
it's a better LS.
it's literally just a better designed LS. It's
Okay.
insane. 'Cause I straight up thought it was.
That's cool.
Intake's the same. Like, it's nuts.
I need to
dude.
look that up.
Not the exact same, obviously, but
I haven't looked at those motors yet. So
they're so new that
Yeah.
like, and
But
honestly, I don't
7.3
even know what they come in.
I thought
Truthfully.
it was trucks, right? You're talking
But which one?
7.3 Ford Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the 250s have them.
250. I don't know my Fords that well. So that's
The
the
only
problem.
reason I know, I got to drive one. We were doing an RTR shoot, and Joey Logano was there, and he had
shit.
It had just come out. They'd given him a 7.3 Godzilla
Yep.
250, whatever, and I drove his. We went to a different location. He was like, "You want to drive this thing?" I was like, "Yeah," because he had to crush some emails or something. And I was like, "This thing is crazy. It pulls like a diesel.
Yeah.
The bottom end torque was nuts." So. That's my only experience and know-how
Right.
with a 7.3, but it was sick.
I'm
on a
excited
track.
to see how it drives and how it feels, but
That thing's gonna be a rocket, dude.
yeah, and it's like it's pro level car. Like
Okay.
they're going almost too deep
Yeah.
into it, but like they make
As it
parts, so like
happens,
that's just their thing. So, well, actually, have you seen the 4-cylinder LS like concept engine? They're
I've seen
supposed to be
photos
coming out with,
and like little articles. Yeah.
yeah. So like, do you know anything about them? I've done a little bit of research, but
I just saw like photos and like, someone throws it in the group chat and we're like giggling about like buying one PRC head for our 4-cylinder LS and
Yep.
probably how bad it's going to sound,
that's my one question is I want to hear that motor.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it would be cool to do a swap with one, throw it on boost and stuff, especially
say,
if
gotta
that's
turbo
what they're
it.
calling for, is you're going to be good on boost. But I want to hear that so bad and see how it resembles,
For sure.
because everyone loves the way an LS sound. So
Dude.
splitting it in half.
We get so much smoke
curious.
down here. I don't know. Maybe it's the Texas boys, but it's like they will light up if you have a 5.3 and a straight pipe. People are not stoked.
Love it.
People
Thank
down
you.
here are not stoked on it. My 6.0,
yeah.
I did. My buddy Connor at Continental Customs did a full like header back stainless exhaust, and it sounds pretty good. Like the limiter sounds crazy too. So I'm pretty happy with mine. But then people that do straight truck motors, straight
Yeah.
6.0, straight 5.3, and straight pipe, I'm not here for.
Yeah, no, if it's just simple motor, especially with no limiter or anything, it sounds very odd.
Yep.
Like just a
Stock
shitty truck.
ECU. Yeah. Bop, 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 bop.
Oh yeah, especially when the limiter's like long. Bah, 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 bah.
For sure.
Fuck that.
It takes a little magic to get like a good note out of an LS, but it's also because my brain, turbo cars are the coolest sounding cars
Yeah.
ever, every time, so like a V8's got a lot to live up to. in
Jonathan
my
Cash has
opinion.
got that figured out.
Yeah, oh,
His
dude.
E46 sounded nuts.
Oh my god, man.
Which I'm excited to see your XLR. That's going to be fucking wild.
His what?
The XLR, the Cadillac.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's building that.
A C5. That's what it is.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
that's all
always
those things
wondered.
are is a C5 underneath with the stupid North Star engine.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's the. Oh my, that car is gonna be nuts. Have you seen any of the progress on it?
No, I've just seen like a couple photos like in my Instagram
Oh.
feed, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's getting full custom wide body and everything on it.
That's sick.
Nuts.
I'm glad that'll be a cooler Cadillac than.
I'm
than
proud of you,
Taylor's,
Jonathan.
man.
That's nuts.
You picked a wild one, right?
Yeah. Came a long way there. All right, well, let's jump on the new car you just got. So the Porsche. Tell me about that car. Tell me like what all's done to it so far. What you bought it for?
So like a lot of things in my life, it was a very impulsive decision. The story, you know,
a tax write off.
I wish
Something
I could
like
write that off. That thing ate 6,000 pounds, man.
Yeah.
If I could write it off, I could. But the long story short, not to like bring the vibe down, is like my dad passed away last year. That car was his favorite car on earth.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it popped up for sale at a buddy's dealer. And I was like, I gotta go check this thing out. He listed it at a great price. I went over there. I was the first person to show up, and this is a guy, Patrick, my friend Patrick. He owns RPM Garage in Dallas. They've got probably 80 cars, and most of it's performance cars, turbo S2000s, 1,000 horsepower Evo 10. Like they buy all the cool shit. You know, G80 M3s. He's got this like crazy like Fast and Furious mural all over the dealer.
Damn.
It's a really cool spot. And Patrick used to pay me $25 a car to take for sale photos when he was in a 1,000 square foot building back in the day. That's how we met.
Right.
So now he's got all this stuff, you know, I kind of did my thing in business. We've kept in touch. I bought a couple like dailies from him.
Yeah.
So he got this car. I went and checked it out. Dude, he held it for me and had like over 100 emails, guys trying to ship it to Canada, all over the country. Wow. You know, I did a PPI in the car, checked it out, bought it. Super like surreal moment to, you know, I'm a Porsche guy now. We were talking a little bit, like I wasn't a Porsche guy always. I started working for an exotic car dealer doing video content, and like I noticed that a lot of these guys that come in and get Ferraris and Lambos and stuff end up back in Turbo S's and GT3s. And then I got to drive them, and I was like, this makes sense.
I see why.
And then you get into the racing, you know, Porsche's racing heritage and how it crosses over into the street cars. It's nerdy shit, right? But that for me kind of sealed the deal. But as I told you before, you'll never see me buy like a $200,000 air cooled Porsche ever.
Absolutely not.
But
I mean, like I told you before the podcast, like I've said this on the podcast too, but I'm not a Porsche guy. I don't like the look of them, but I'll never deny the drivability of them. So I could see, because I used to work at Mannheim, which was an auto auction.
Oh, yeah.
And we had the little test strip track thing. I bring cars down there every once in a while.
Yep.
And they're amazing to drive. I'll never knock that.
Yeah.
I just can't get over the nostalgia body style to them where they just never change it.
It's completely accurate, and that's where they sit, you know.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I'm not gonna argue, you know, oh, they're this or that. It's just been the same design forever, and some people are like, it's better that way, and I don't necessarily think that. Like, this car has a full tech art kit, so it's like almost like very 2000s, like Fast and Furious looking. Yeah. So I like that it's different than just like standard 911. Right. But yeah, long story short, I bought it from him. He sold it to me like way under market. And it's just crazy I don't have a lot of like pinch me moments with work and stuff, but like I do all this because I love cars, and getting to drive away from a dealership in a Porsche because I decided to pick up a camera and go shoot drifting, and it snowballed into this is like crazy feeling for sure.
Makes you relive a bunch of highlights, that's for sure.
Dude, yeah. Well, right now is the highlight. I'm like, cool, I get to Now I drive my Porsche to the grocery store, right?
It's my grocery getter, you know. So it was never like a childhood dream or anything to own a Porsche necessarily.
No, it definitely, my dad passing and he was a huge Porsche guy. And I remember him, he at one point, it wasn't brand new, but he had made enough to buy a used 997.1 Carrera. And it was like, I remember him pulling up in the driveway in that and like how proud he was and how big of a accomplishment that was to get that car. He had some previously, but they had all shot up in price even back in the day. So that stuck with me. And like, again, it was just one of those kind of universe feeling, and also I'm good at making impulsive decisions and talking myself into buying toys that I want.
We all that way.
Yeah,
We're car guys.
Yeah, drift guys can relate for sure.
Part of nature.
Buy those $3,000 wheels. Buy that new crate motor. So yeah, man, I picked it up. I think it's been 3 weeks now, and it's just so different of a driving experience, especially being a drifter. I've done some HPDE, and I've tracked a .2 GT3 RS, which was like crazy.
Right.
I've tracked, a Supra, an M2, and that's like it for my track experience. So coming from a drift car, getting in a car that's on a sticky 295 in the back, the motor's behind you in the back, it just operates so differently. And it's so planted. The chassis is super rigid, and you can tell before you leave the parking lot. It's crazy. But now that I've driven it more, it's a really cool driving experience for sure.
Yeah. From the little bit I've driven, some of them, you actually, when people say like they're more rigid, like that's, there's not a better way to put that. Which is why I never really comprehended it until I finally drove one. You can literally feel every inch of the chassis when you're driving it. I mean, you can feel where it's all coming from just through the steering wheel and shit. It's nuts.
Yeah, a lot of feedback for sure.
Yeah, that's why it's still one of the best fucking driving cars ever.
Yeah, man, I love it.
So didn't you already like kind of broke this car a little bit, didn't you?
I definitely. The night I bought it, went out downtown for a buddy's birthday, and we
too eager.
Well, not even, man. It's just shitty roads downtown. We went and
that is true.
Got tacos at a spot, and we went to this like pool hall to play pool. Went in, had a beer, left, was in the parking lot, and like a literal crater in the damn parking lot. No lights in it.
Yep.
I had some truck like tailgating me through the parking lot, so I was looking up and took it through a nice little hole, broke a little $300 part on it, had it towed home, fixed it right up, and I was like, oh, this is a thing that happens to me. Like 240 blew it up. My daily driver, my truck, my buddy was driving it back from Virginia. I bought it from Dan Savage. Former FD driver, good buddy of mine, sold me this truck, and like an electrical issue popped up out of nowhere. Damn. Which is now fixed,
Every time you get a new car, it's just like something's got to go wrong to get me acclimated with it.
Yeah, man. My fiance was like, this is just what happens. Don't freak out. And I'm just like, I hate my life right now. Dude,
at least you got her to fucking simmer you down a bit.
She does a good job. But $300 part from Porsche later, and took it to my buddy's shop, BSP up here, just because I was like, I'm going to let them deal with it.
At least it wasn't too much of a headache.
No, man, like that chassis, one of the reasons, I wanted the car, so YouTube deep dives, watching people tear them apart and stuff. It's actually a pretty like simple car to work on, being that like it's from 2001.
Yeah.
So everything.
They were built to be worked on.
Exactly.
So all of that was put into mind for the driver, not the manufacturer to work on it. Because nowadays, all cars are made for the manufacturer only to work on it. Special tools, putting certain things in certain places where you got to have a special tool to get to. Where it's fuck that, man.
It was kind of funny too, because like I grew up with car forums, and like a lot of people don't know what it's like to one, not have social media, and two, like to find out how to work on a car, where the car meets are at, who's talking shit and trying to race each other. It
Yeah.
all happened on a car forum. So I was like YouTubing this part, and there's nothing, dude. Like, and granted, like people that own 996 turbos are usually in their late 40s or 50s. So like
Yep,
they're not
nobody's making
YouTube
content
videos.
on it.
So I kind of had to go through the run through of like joining Renlist and like getting back on a car forum, which brought me like some nostalgia to like the Zilvia days. I don't know if you're ever on Zilvia, but that was like a huge S chassis forum.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So like I lived on Zilvia when I was younger, buying 240 parts. So it was kind of cool to be like, I feel like this is like a new chassis, but I'm embarking the same way
Yeah.
into fixing it and learning about it the same way I did with my 240.
Right.
But it
right.
still sucked. I broke it. But
Actually, speaking of, yeah, speaking of the content thing, that would like, especially right now, Jimmy just got a Porsche. Adam just got a Porsche. All of these creators are starting to get Porsches.
dude, I know.
So no, what he just said, nobody has content revolving around the Porsche. If someone decided to go buy a junkyard fucking Porsche for $1,800, whatever, and started doing a restoration, just building on it, making content out of that, I guarantee you'd have a career.
Yeah, there's one guy. His name's Matt something. He's got a yellow 996. Like his videos of him rebuilding, he bought the cheapest 996 in the country, right? Did the clickbait buy, but then he dug in and did a lot. And it's funny because he
backed it up.
Yeah, but he's also like 80 grand into this car, So he didn't really come out ahead money wise, but who knows what was happening behind the scenes. But he was a good reference for that. But besides that, like Adam's rebuilding a 964. I've been watching that. Like that looks crazy. And
I've been watching it, and again, I don't like Porsche.
It's still nuts.
Nobody does content on that, so I'm intrigued at what's underneath that car.
Yeah.
What's inside of it? What can you do to it?
And what does a drifter do to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now fucking Drift Games is doing a whole Lamborghini drift car.
I didn't know that.
That's nuts. Yeah, they're working with
Liberty Walk?
Liberty Walk. Yes.
Oh, I think I did see something on that.
They announced it at the Tokyo Auto Salon, I think.
Okay.
That they were going to be working together this year, but they finally revealed the car.
Gotcha.
And it's a Gallardo, I think, with a 2J in it.
God damn, that's gonna be cool.
I was like, dude, what?
I need to cruise YouTube and go check that out because
there's not much on it yet.
Okay.
It's just more them talking about it and the plans and stuff on it. But I was like, bro, that's nuts, and it's gonna be a full-on drift car.
That's gonna be bonkers. Those sounds coming from that car are gonna be crazy.
Sideways.
Yep.
What? Oh yeah, that'll break the internet this year. Okay, so what is your goal moving forward with the Porsche? What do you want to happen with it? Do you want to just keep it nice and clean, cherry type deal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to dive in to like, I had a new development happen yesterday with the car.
That's ironic.
So basically, I bought the car and I was told it was celebrity owned, right? I bought it from my buddy. He bought it from another mutual friend of ours that had a dealer, and the car before that was at another dealer, right?
Right.
Whatever. It's an old Porsche, so it's gone through some hands. I knew it was a California car. I knew it was bought out of Newport Beach, Porsche. And so my buddy Billy, that was the dealer before that had the car, that did a bunch of stuff before it ended up at RPM, was like, hey, I can't remember right now, but it was celebrity owned. I'll get in contact with the dealer that bought it from the celebrity and get back to you. So I was like, all right, cool. And I like waited, a week, and I pinged him yesterday, and he sends me a screenshot of him texting, it's first name, this dealership. And it says, hey, who was the celebrity again that bought that 996? You guys got the 996 from? And it was Rob Deerdeck. But the guy goes, Rob from Rob and Big.
No fucking way.
It was like, I was like, there's no way that like, so instantly I'm freaked out, and I'll kind of explain why. Like, obviously I grew up skating, and I'm like, I swear I've seen that fucking car on Rob and Big. I swear.
Oh my God, dude, that is nuts.
So I'm like losing my mind, going online, looking at episodes and stuff, and in the intro, you can see it in his garage.
Shut the
And
fuck
it's like
up.
the first episode, the first or second clip after the intro plays, it's a clip of him pulling it in the garage.
Dude.
It's crazy, man. So like the dealer had bought it from him when he traded it in. And it, you know, I was like trying to do some math. I'm like, cool, Robin Big was like 2004 they were filming, and it's a 2001. And like Rob and like Bam and Tony were probably like the only skaters back then were making enough money to buy something like that. So like Rob probably bought it and had it for a couple years.
That's insane.
It was parked like, you know, the Tahoe, the black murdered out Tahoe he always had, and that in the garage. And then I texted some friends that know him and have worked with him and worked at Hoonigan and stuff.
Dude, tag Rob Dyrdek. Dude, tag him in the fucking comments.
That's the first
nuts.
thing I did, man. I've had the car for 3 weeks.
Dude, make a reel out of this too.
We should.
I'm tagging Rob. We're getting his attention.
We should, man. I hope he gets you know, at least the story. So I wasn't going to post the car much on social media, but I found that out and threw it up there and was like, somebody tell Rob Dyrdek.
I've been bragging like a motherfucker. I don't care. Oh my God.
Oh man. So I try to keep my social media more like race car now, since like we're kind of doing more big agency stuff. I don't have to like market myself as a videographer. And I was like, you know, I got the Porsche. I'll enjoy it. I don't need to post it on social media. But yeah, once I found that out, I definitely threw it on the gram. So yeah, it was a big full circle moment, man. Because like I mentioned, it was my dad's favorite car. The first skate video I ever had as a kid, my dad bought for me, was the DC video.
Nice.
So
nice.
Danny Way Mega Ramp part, and then of course it was the first Robin Big skit like ever. So like Danny, Rob, Stevie Williams, Josh Kalis, like all those dudes were like instantly my favorite skaters. So for me to like buy this Porsche on a hunch, man. Yeah, man. It's crazy. I ended up with this car, and now I'm like going back and watching these shows again.
Yeah,
like, God,
I just did that like a few months ago. I went back and started, because I'll put random shit on from like my childhood just to have on in the background if I'm busy working or whatever. Yeah. And I turned that on. Couldn't tell you how many times I got distracted from work, bro. I was like, man, I feel like a kid again.
It's some good humble TV, man. I miss those shows.
I really wish I would have paid attention to him more as far as what he was doing creatively back then and implemented that when I was younger. Because that was literally vlogging before vlogging was a thing.
He's so ahead of the curve.
I hate myself so much for not paying attention to that.
I feel like there's like, I'm one of those people. I know Nate's one of those people. Like a bunch of us, you know, I don't want to say older guys because I'm older than you.
Right.
But like we were in the media before. It's like, why didn't we hop on the vlog train?
Yeah, especially y'all, because y'all were actually in the midst of doing that type of stuff. You were shooting videos. Like
we were
your
doing
own
stuff that, you know, we would vlog here and there, but it's like we didn't know what we were doing. We were just filming shit and making
I was still sitting in a 5th, 6th grade classroom, like being a fucking idiot, being a stupid kid. Should have been buying houses. Should have been buying real estate. And fuck. S chassis. God, I'd be rich if I had an S chassis.
Better than Bitcoin, brother.
Dude, park all your money there.
Like I said, I sold mine for $6,500. It probably would have been a $15,000 or maybe a $20,000 car at the peak.
Yeah.
Of S chassis prices. That's why I bought that one. I was like, I'm never spending this much money on an old car like that again.
Yeah, no. I've never owned one, and I probably never will now. Just unless for some reason this explodes and sponsors out the ass. But like, I don't see that.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You got your angle,
Thanks to you guys.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys. We'll get there.
We need that donate button too next to the subscribe button.
Actually, dude, I've never said this on the podcast. I don't talk about it because I never want to promote this. This isn't something that I'm like necessarily proud that I put in there. But on my link tree, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is an actual donate tab, like where you could just donate if you wanted to the podcast.
Let's get this guy in an S chassis.
I don't remember your name, but on Patreon, I haven't spoken about Patreon in forever, but someone jumped on the Patreon and sent over like $65 or something.
Yo,
the membership's $6. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Which, shout out to you. Thank you. Drop a comment and let us know who you are, because I can't remember your name. Yeah, sorry, I don't. That was off topic.
Hey,
but
no, I'm glad that I brought it up organically.
Yeah,
And now you don't
there
look
you
like
go.
you're out here trying to get donations.
Exactly.
At the same
Appreciate that.
time, like mini sidebar, man, I don't know if you watch some of these streamers that just sit and stream and people just throw money on them.
Yeah. In the comments, just ting, ting.
We need you to be that hero in drifting.
Oh, fuck.
Or maybe that was Danny George back in the day.
Stuff.
Live stuff
shit
is daunting.
sucks. Yeah. Scares the piss out of me. But all right, well, I guess with all of this combined that we talked about, because you live a very elaborate life that doesn't get shown on the internet. So like as much, it may not seem elaborate to you, but like you're kind of in the position I want to be at. So to me, it's very inspiring. So what would your advice be to someone trying to follow in your footsteps from the very beginning?
The best thing I can do is give just kind of like generalized advice, but it does apply to specific things, you know. For me, it was just like I was just doing what I thought was cool, and then learning from that, and then listening to opportunity and figuring out, okay, how can I basically make money on this? But you have to figure out your end goal too. Because I was like, how can I make money doing this? Because I want to drive. Like people are like, you know, filming's your passion. That's so cool. You get to do your passion. My passion's being behind the driver's seat.
Right.
I knew I wasn't going to be a pro drifter. I knew I didn't have money to just like go chase the racer's dream at 20, but filming and building camera cars is a pretty cool fucking job, you know? And it's stressful at sometimes, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But it's all a means to an end to get in the driver's seat. So that, because I had that end goal in mind, I kind of designed my life around that, if you will, and put myself in positions to be around that as much as possible, not always with the intention of money or anything. Like, you know, I definitely was not getting rich filming Formula Drift and filming drifting, which is why, you know, I eventually stepped away and started an agency and entered the corporate world. But just being realistic with yourself to like set yourself up for the future, even if that means taking steps back in the present.
Right.
You know? So content wise, like, I think the people that are like pumping out short form content and killing it, like that's going to be the most useful thing right now. If you're a videographer, like, dude, if you are good at editing too, and you can sit and you can lock in and edit and shoot your own content, but even editing, man, like, especially like these Instagram reels that have all these
I would
After
honestly
Effects
say
things.
if you're good at editing, don't even try to consume yourself with a whole media company or anything like that. Cause I kind of liked editing too, but I was never like extremely good at it. So like
I fall under the same boat.
yeah, so it's something that I could never just sit down and be like, I could edit all fucking day. I would get through one reel and like, fuck, I need a break. I need to give my brain a minute.
Same.
And so that was always something that was hard for me. So if you can do that, dude, you are such a valuable asset to someone like you or someone like me. By God, I'll pay you what I can
Same here.
to not do it.
If you're an editor and you're, especially After Effects, man, like all the crazy transition Instagram reels that pop up.
I would say
like,
that's honestly more important now.
Yeah,
you can easily figure
that would
out
have taken me
Premiere.
a week, and I'm like, you just threw that on Instagram and it's gone, and like it's the lifespan is gone, and these kids are cranking out clips like that. Like, I will get you so much money if you can edit content like that for me and do it in a you know, a manner that's measurable and you know, lets us have a partnership. Like, that is so helpful for me. So editing's huge. But then just being different. If you're a shooter, being different, go on people's sets, go watch what they do. That's what was cool about the camera car. Like, obviously we did our RTR projects and blew shit up and shot cool stuff. But when you're on a Super Bowl commercial with 100 people on it and you're just shooting a Tundra driving up the street, but then you see like how the whole production gets run, it's such a like learning moment, and watching like big directors do their thing and why they're in that position. You know, a lot of misconceptions probably get changed, and you just learn how to tighten up your ship a little bit.
Right.
So that was
And like
a huge
that's
help.
that's something that I have no interest in whatsoever. Like I do not want to be a part of the big, just camera crews and directors
machine
and like
for
having
sure.
that whole thing. And plus, I think the value to a company is more expressed in their short form content and their long form content and their just regular content.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to narrow my company down as far as to just stay on that path.
Yeah.
Like, so any quote that I send out, I'm like, I'm just going to send you a basic quote out for what most people would want as a service, especially for the best results as far as growth or saving you time, whatever your need is.
problem solving, just like I was saying.
Exactly. So I try and focus on just keeping it to the short form and the long form.
Yeah.
Everything else, like you handle your own video work. You handle recording everything. You handle your audio. You handle all of that. I can give you the critiques as you go, but that way it keeps things simpler on both ends.
That's such a value too, because like there's always like, do we get the in-house media guy? Do we hire a freelancer? But like on the edit side, if they have somebody in-house that can knock stuff out and then they just kick it off to you, like that's such a value add for any company.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, because then
of you drifting
that camera guy,
companies,
exactly, yeah.
You call this man.
He'll
make your life easier.
Go to my website. It's in the description.
come on.
Scroll to the bottom, and you can fill out the form. Tell me what you need, and we'll get it worked out. That's the short form stuff is a heavy hitter, because especially if you have that person in house to just focus on the camera.
Yeah.
Focus on getting the quality shots, and then on top of that, instead of like he's not just the camera guy, I now have someone that I can interact with. That knows what's going on, instead of trying to explain everything to you and you trying to figure out how to get the right angle when you don't know a goddamn thing about a camera or anything. You know how to run a business or make whatever part you're making. Like, focus on that.
Yeah.
Hire somebody to do the camera, hire me to do the editing, and you have a smooth team.
Yep.
It's
a big
so much
value add, man. So like, again, to what you're saying, and any advice is like, is do that. Honestly, I'd tell people to keep following you and watch your progression, because like this, we talk about angles. This is a huge angle to the industry, So like your development and watching this grow is like, it's a map for people that are new to watch. And, this is not easy to do. You're not just going to start a podcast and just be ripping like your growth.
And by all means, if you feel like you can, do it.
Yeah.
I like straight up. I want more podcasts in this industry. Like I'm seeing Evan start one up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like all these other people. I've seen some that have kind of already died off, which I hate to see, but
it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. It's
people think we're just sitting
easy.
and talking, and then you're hitting a,
Yeah, you didn't see
button.
the hour before of setting what looks very simple up, but it's not.
Cameras and batteries and memory cards, but
notes. Yeah, God.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
On just what to do. It's just like I mentioned, I watched people do a thing that I thought was cool, and I learned from that and took influence from that, but I made it my own. So if somebody, you can go, that guy has the job I want, like go meet him, go study him, go whatever, like take notes. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, we'll jump into the last few questions I ask everybody. So, I'm going to do yours a little different though. Right. So you have a bone stock version of your car, you have tires, you have $3,000 to spend, blah, blah, blah. Your case, you've already stayed so at the grassroots level, cut knuckles, all that stuff. So we're going to go with, you have the exact car you have right now. And let's say you wanted to jump into the ProAm level.
Okay.
And from the setup you have, cut knuckles, simple rear arms, so it's just very basic. What parts would you prioritize to get your car set up for that Pro-Am level, besides the necessary stuff you have to do for passing tech? So
I'm still LS?
Yeah, still LS, just canned.
I'd throw a 75 shot on it and then run, 100 treadwear 651. I'd run a stickier tire, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Dude, that car flies. Like I've got clips of it like picking up tire with how it's hooked up right now. And again, I just, I ask people how to set it up, and they made it work good. And now I took the car from like having a little bit of grip to a lot of grip now. So now it's more of a question of like power will help bail me out of situations, because if
Right.
the car's real tight, I can, get pinched trying to follow somebody with 800, 900 horsepower,
Yeah.
but it'll keep up with them because the car probably weighs like 2,600 pounds, maybe a little
bad,
more.
yeah.
So it's super light. But yeah, even without the 75 shot, like I'm going to go drive LS Fest again this year. I did my first one last year. It was super fun. And I got to drive with guys that make more power than me, but I can keep up with them just fine.
Hell yeah.
Not a lot.
That's
honestly.
interesting.
I swear, dude, cut knuckle, LS, basic arm, PPM,
Shows you how simple
whatever.
getting into ProAm is.
I know.
Ta-da. And
You shouldn't
Enjuku's
need-
got you covered on it.
For sure. They've got everything, man. And you shouldn't need the best car to go in Pro-Am. I think it's better to build a car that's going to run well
Yeah.
and maybe be mid-pack to
Yeah,
go
I would say focus on making the drivetrain as reliable as possible, because
Exactly.
you're not going to know the quirks that you're going to need
Yeah.
as far as like, if you got to quickly change a radiator or something,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to even know how to set that up, how to fabricate the way to mount it to
Yeah.
make it easier. You just got to go through it.
Yeah, man.
So-
Front mount, like I don't think you should need to bring the biggest gun to the fight,
Yeah.
Like you should be able to knock it down a few notches and be good enough to win. If you're really trying to, say climb the Pro-Am ladder to something different, you should be beating up on people with a pretty basic setup.
Right. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's get your best piece of advice for anyone just getting into drifting.
Best piece of advice is buy a 350Z, shocks, welded diff, seat, any cooling mods if the car needs to stay cool, and like cut bump stops or a GK Tech angle kit. Just like go in. If your focus is getting good at driving, I understand if you want to build a cool car, if you want to build some cool looking 240 that's all slammed and stuff, that's great,
Right.
but there's sacrifices. But to anybody that's like, I want to drive and get good at drifting, build a Z, go out there, spin out, crash, do whatever, but just like go get to the point where you can just drive that car around at full throttle without even thinking about it. Then
Yeah.
you go to the next chassis, because that's what
Agreed.
I did.
Hell yeah. Or swap.
Yep. Yeah, let's
Just don't be as dumb as me when you do it.
you put the cool motor in.
Yeah, it'll be worth it when it's finally done.
It will be
but
for sure.
God, it's been a headache. Anyways, all right. So, and then if you could speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
Man, people just need to be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think the internet is.
Stop watching the news.
Yeah, that too.
That's mine.
Yeah, I think that, but that plays to that. We watch the news, we see so much going on, and it looks like tensions are high, but and sometimes they are. And I think when you go outside and you go interact with people, it's never as daunting as it is. And then if you bring it, from macro to micro, like even in drifting, man, like the car scene is so gnarly, and it always has been. Like there's always rivalries and shit going on, but like I'm just trying to like have a good time and hang with friends and shit.
Right.
And maybe it's because I'm getting old, but I'm just like, let people enjoy what they like and just be nice to everybody. Because when you're rude and mean, it's a really small world, man. It's a really small circle. Like you'll burn a bridge that you wish you hadn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess
That's
to
100% true.
wrap that up, I'll give you my favorite saying ever. It's never miss a chance to shut up.
Ooh.
It's my favorite thing I've ever heard.
Damn. That's a good one.
Yep.
Because I'm a people watcher.
Yeah.
I'll sit back and just listen to the whole room speak.
Same, man.
Oh,
It's
I'll
a powerful
consume it all
thing.
before I ever say a single word. Man, that's good advice, dude. Take after that. All right. Well, if you want, plug yourself, plug your people, anything.
At Max_Fuerst, thanks to the sponsors, Enjuku, KBD, BC Racing, Accelera, Tire Streets for keeping me on track. The Wolfpack agency is my company. I've got some amazing partners. We're doing some really cool things in automotive, and I just appreciate you coming out and let me come on the pod. You got some heavy hitters on this thing nowadays. I'm glad to be included, man.
Hell yeah. No, this is one we've been trying to do for a while.
For sure.
So I'm glad we were able to work it out. But hell yeah. All right. Well, I guess, yeah, go support all his sponsors. You know, it's the same companies that support all of drifting. So if you want this sport to keep going, continue to support them. But yeah, of course, look below the video and make sure that subscribe button is not still red. Hit the notification bell while you're at it so you're always updated. And don't forget about the BUMZ glasses. Literally, just comment and like the video. That's it. You'll get entered. It's so simple.
Easy.
You don't have to do anything else. And then, of course, like I said, links to almost every part that we talked about are in the description for Enjuku Racing. So, and any other link that you need is always in the description as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So don't forget, every Sunday, new episode each week. Thanks. Peace.